Well, good afternoon, members of council, members of our management team. Welcome to the Steamboat Town Council public meeting today, January 23rd, 2025. It's 12:12 p.m. and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Number one, our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the town of Steamboat as the ancestral homeland of different populations of indigenous people. We also acknowledge with respect the rich histories and cultures of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Item number two, I would ask the member of council that we move to approve the agenda of this meeting. Moved by Councillor Darren Roberts, second.
Seconded.
Second, Councillor Maurice Hines, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item number three, the approval of minutes from our previous meeting, which was held January 9th. Be it resolved that the public meeting of council minutes dated January 9th, 2025 be approved as circulated by our town clerk.
Move.
Moved by Councillor Darren Roberts, second. Second, Councillor Tom O'Brien, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? No matters heard. We would move on for proclamations and delegations. I see nothing in front of us, management, so good to go. Okay, committee reports. Item number 6, I'll turn it over to our Chair of Finance, Councillor Myra White. Take it away.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on January the 20th, 2025, and the following items were recommended for council approval. Item number 1 is accounts payable. Be it resolved to pay accounts payable for January the 23rd, 2025 in the amount of $1,103,089.35. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White.
Second.
Second, Councillor Darren Roberts.
Question. Not question, it's a comment.
Okay.
I know I moved for accounts payable and I will vote for repaid accounts payable because our flags will be paid. But I don't think as council, we should be purchasing items for merchandising and branding, which is included in the accounts payable. That's just my opinion. I'll do it.
Expense.
We shouldn't even entertaining expensing it or paying it. We shouldn't be ordering that stuff.
That's something I guess we could have a discussion further, maybe at our next finance meeting with management. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
The probably end up with, how much of it do you buy?
And it's not as per budget amount, it's already pre-approved, Jay.
Okay, well then that gives me the opportunity, once again, I don't know how many times I said this since we got re-elected, just because there's money allotted in the budget, that is not the final approval to spend that money. That's money and numbers that's been identified for budgetary purposes before the money is spent. It needs to come back to the council through the finance for a discussion. In this case, as an example, to buy those jackets and that, yeah, there's money allotted in the budget. That's the budgetary number. Had it come back, the discussion would have happened at that time. So the discussion would have happened pre-purchase rather than post-purchase. But anyway, we can have to discuss that finance, because I mean, that stuff gets out of hand pretty quick.
Would that be based on the dollar amount that they're spending? Because if you got it in the budget and you don't have a dollar amount to say that you cannot go ahead and purchase, you know, if you say anything over 2,000, you have to come back and get a approval. So I guess we should make that a little bit more knowledge to be letting everybody know.
Yeah.
If it gets to a certain dollar value, you come back and you ask permission before.
And just for clarity to remember, there's a lot of operational costs that are standard weekly, monthly costs that would not come looking for approval, because that would be micromanaging. That wouldn't be the level of a council setting policy.
Oh, you're totally correct. You mean,
Exactly.
like public works would be a good example of that. Like, I mean, if there's, let's just grab numbers out here, the $10,000 for valves.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, if the valve goes, it has to be replaced. So you mean you don't have to come back for approval for that one, right?
And the other thing too, approved is that a CAO has a spending limit of a certain amount that don't require, that's operational that don't require to come back to council. Obviously, if the CAO were to spend a significant amount of money, even within a $5,000 or $10,000 cap, it would brief council, and because sometimes we're meeting only every 3 weeks. So if the manager under his domain as a CAO needs to purchase or expense within the limit assigned to him, they have that authority too. So just to clarify.
And just for me, Mr. Mayor, I agree with Councillor Roberts and O'Brien that I think some of the spending that is outside of the day-to-day operations that is not related to the running of the town needs to be considered.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Carry.
Item number 2, expense check. Be it resolved to pay expense checks for the month of December 2024 in the amount of $611,587.52. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second by Councillor Darrell Roberts. Question?
Just for the information. We intend to make a couple of changes in future because I have one check here, for example, for Russell Heights, which in the amount of even $62,000, which is the contribution to pay for that activity in that area. And some of these come through as AP, but they should be, capital expenditures should be carried through council as separate line items and not necessarily with either expenses or AP items. Because our capital projects, and in this case, we have older applications that have been sitting in the system for a while. Everyone knows that Russell Heights was on the books for several years and then finally got around to getting it done. In this particular case, there are documents which became stale dated in that application process now that have to be redone with the bank and other for our contribution of it. So by us processing parts of it, we end up behind the 8 ball, and the capital has to be done, I think, separately in the future. So we're going to get around to allocating capital to a separate account for council's approval, and that'll tie together with the council's approvals of capital account expenditures as well. So just a point to note.
Sounds good. Sounds good. It says.
Thank you.
Makes it clear anyway.
Yeah. All in favor?
Fine.
Thank you.
Carry.
Councillor, I need to move back from the next one.
Please, thank
Thank you.
you. Item number 3, request for grant, Stephenville Historical Society. Be it resolved to approve a grant in the amount of $12,000 to the Stephenville Historical Society. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, second.
Second.
Second, Councillor Aylward. I will say that they have done a great job at the Historical Society. Their events are stellar that I've attended, and so congratulations to the volunteers that run that operation. But we're steeped in culture, and it's evident of our murals on our wall of our rich Indigenous, Acadian, and American influence, termed a friendly invasion. But we're still a fairly new country compared to Egypt and the Nile River, Mesopotamia, and we've only been here as, I guess we call ourselves all immigrants to North America for about 500 years. And it's interesting that the historical significance here on Indigenous populations. They anticipated that there were about 10 million Indigenous people in North America from Mexico to the north when Columbus arrived. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Carry.
You can
Okay,
come back.
you can return to the table.
And I guess just an explanation. I'm the vice chair of the historical committee.
And thank you for that. Item number 4, property tax. Be it resolved to write off property taxes in the amount of $3,448.62. I so.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, second.
Second.
Second, Councillor Dan Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item number 5, water and sewer, be it resolved to adjust water and sewer tax in the amount of $2,674.16. I so.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Dan Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item number 6, business tax. Be it resolved, approve business tax adjustments in the amount of $28,088.02. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Laura Aylward, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Mayor, that's all that's on our agenda today.
Okay. Item 6.2 is our Planning and Traffic Committee reports, and I'm going to turn it over to our chair, Councillor Laura Aylward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning and Traffic Committee met on January 20th, 2025, and the following items were recommended for council approval. First item is amendment to policy quarry operation permits. Be it resolved to amend the quarry operation policy to include the contractors' operators will be required to obtain annual lease with the town of Stephenville for the land on which the bid is located at a rate of minimum of 1,000 or 1,000 or 1,000 or 1,000 per hectare. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laura Aylward, second by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow.
Question. Can I get an explanation of why we're doing a rate of a minimum rate of $1,000 per hectare instead of royalty regime? Any reasoning? I got you.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to compliment the staff on doing this. I had a number of phone calls over the last several months, and there's a lot of misconception about the role that the town plays in the quarries. Okay, and most people think that the town plays a much bigger role than it has, whereas the province really is holding the important yay or nay to all the permits.
Yeah, and I just.
Just one point on that as well, in furtherance of what Councillor Hines noted, is that the only time that the town has any kind of ability to have input is when a quarry is initially licensed by the Crown. So it's only when in that first stage, following that renewals and that we get limited to no involvement in a renewal of a quarry permit. In this case, it will allow us to implement the permit fee as a part of an ongoing tracking mechanism, as well as generate some, make it so that people don't just hold on to them in that business area, don't just hold on to them to tie it up, so to speak, right? That was the concept.
Yeah, so basically this relates to so basically where this annual fee comes in is to Bill just mentioned, so it's just trying to bring some fairness into the community around the town owned pits. So what can contractors do? They can get a permit through mineral lands. They have a permit for that pit, but they might register for quarry permit but not use the quarry. It's something that happens in the province quite often. So we've also consulted with other municipalities and do something, along the lines, something similar, but it just allows us to, if you're not going to be using the permit, more likely someone will be paying that annual fee. It might free it up for another contractor in the town, a local contractor especially, who might want to be able to apply for.
The other big benefit from contractor when it comes to having the lease for a quarry. The way they used to do it is, they had to go to the province, they had to get a quarry license. So contractor would go into an area, they get approval from the provincial department that they could have a quarry. So they go in, and there's a certain amount of development that has to be done for a contractor to use the material out of that quarry. The overburden's got to be removed, blah, blah, blah. But then the province could also issue what they refer to as subordinate permits.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Tommy Rose construction could go in and develop this quarry. But at the same time, Tom O'Brien Construction could go in and get a subordinate permit. Now, after it's operating a couple of years, there's the mess and everything there. And we ran into this as a town. We went to contractors to go, I mean, this is a bit of a mess that needs to be cleaned up. And they said, well, that's not us. Yeah, well, you're the one with the permit. No, there was a subordinate permit. So the solution that we came up with at the time, and it should still be on the books here somewhere, is we would lease the land to the old regional contractor. Then it's up to that contractor whether they let subordinates permits in. If they let subordinates permits in, they are also responsible for the mess. So, I mean, this is just another step to tighten that up.
Yeah.
Which is good.
The other thing I want to say is we have a lot of advantages in Stephenville when it comes to quarry, as management mentioned. They're regulated through natural resources. We issue the permits. We always look at proximity to the town, duration, size, and scope. We issue the permits as recommendations from management, but we are very blessed that we have a great sandy loam structure. So a couple of things, when we built our hospital in Stephenville, we did all the heavy civil, all your gradients, built the hospital for 35 million. When they went into Cornwall to do Western Memorial Hospital, just the heavy civil, because they were into rock and pug, cost them about $28 million, just without a building being put up. So, and it really has a great advantage for our local contractors or an outside contractor who may get a sizable contract, whether it's with the town of Stephenville, World Energy, or any of the big players. Because we have great soil structures and even our sands, we have silica sands in the area that a lot of people don't realize, but there is a shortage of silica sands in the world. And we have it in spades. We have one of the best silica sand sites in the world. So we have a lot of advantages, and there's no doubt our soil structures and everything was probably one of the reasons too that the U.S. Air Force decided to build the largest air base outside of continental USA. Just don't tell that to Trump lately.
Move on about it.
He's gonna take it.
Just saying, all in favor,
Aye.
carried.
You might want to bet.
Yeah, he might. I heard he's opening the base again anyway. We want to get back and get my severance pay.
Don't bother with Greenland, just.
They didn't have 99 years.
But that's a good,
The good rumor, yes. a good rumor. Anyway,
Okay.
item number 2, approval for easement. New Mexico Drive, Newfoundland Power Incorporated and Bell Canada. Bell, be it resolved to enter into an agreement with Newfoundland Power Incorporated and Bell Canada to provide easement of land for electrical and
Telecommunications.
electrical and telecommunications on the parcel of land described in Schedule A on New Mexico Drive. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder. Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, in favor.
Aye.
Please tell me that is part of a plan that they have to improve the cell service in town.
Yeah, that's a good point. When we do an amendment to that.
That's a while ago, we agreed that we would send a letter to Bell and ask Bell to send in their management people that are responsible for making the decisions regarding what level of service they're going to provide to any community type thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the service has been getting worse. There's no question about it. The dead spots in that in town. Did we ever send a letter out or give a response to it?
Yes.
Mr. Ryder?
I reached out to all of our neighboring municipalities and asked them if they would be willing to join us in Arena. We only had a response from Kevin. But we do have a contact now. Matt has a contact at Bell or somebody who can get us the right person, the community engagement person. So we're gonna proceed with that now. But that's what's been happening in this.
And I'm looking forward to meeting with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Now, if we're trying to do something for it.
On item number 2, Mr. Mayor, is that this easement is necessary to service, I think it's 7 housing units that are being built by a local developer under the, I think, Affordable Housing Initiative through CMHC. So at the very least this, and he may already have them pre-rented, I think, prior to even having them completed. But this is the kind of thing that the town is trying to do everything it can to foster and support in the community to get some more affordable housing units placed and permitted and developed.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
The other thing I want to say about easements too, is that sometimes when you have to do an easement, you may be giving up a little bit of land that can't be developed because you got infrastructure under the ground and you're doing an easement. But the bonus is you now have an enhanced area of the green belt and green space. So from an environmental perspective, it's a good thing too. So, you know, I'm a big supporter of easements because they do protect green spaces.
There's pluses to it. No doubt about it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so is there anything?
Yeah, wait, now, we're not finished yet.
Oh, sorry, we got one.
Number 3, approve to issue expression of interest. Be it resolved to issue an expression of interest for the Stephenville Gardens Corporation, Stephenville Dome Board of Directors. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Oriel, seconder.
Second.
Councilor Roy. Just question on that. So just for the general public, obviously having a stadium commission and a regional pool authority, we're always trying to get volunteers to help out with those boards and all the executive roles that they play to find a sustainable operation. So every few years, we actually try to get some new blood. I think currently, I'm not sure in the stadium commissions, but it's a 5 to 9 person of complement. Sometimes we struggle to get the 5, but how it works is anybody can apply, and they don't have to be living in Stephenville. They can be Kippens, because Kippens is a contributor financially to the stadium commission, along with the regional pool authority. So, but all the existing, and I think we only have a few existing, they can reapply too if they want to stay on. So it's not as if, and then it all comes to council. Council makes a selection, and we tend to do that from so let's hope we get a full complement of people interested. And we'll get that advertised through our social media network. And for any of the attendees that are listening, there's 24. If you're interested in sitting on the stadium commission, you'll have an opportunity to apply. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carry.
And the bonus used to start with me.
Asked to.
Probably don't add that to the communications to be second.
No. Cut down on the lineup at the door.
You guys are very nice people.
So, is there anything late for planning?
No.
Oh, okay. So bylaws, regulations, nothing in front of us for completion. Any unfinished business? No unfinished? New business?
Mr. Mayor, I think we talked about earlier about the old women's penitentiary. I'm getting that demolished and everything else.
The way you said that, all women 17. All women.
Yeah, there was young women here too.
The young women there too.
The old penitentiary for women.
They all died.
Rephrase that, buddy.
It's the only old woman around town to remember all of it.
No women here. We're queen
The
agers.
women's old penitentiary. Okay, we just changed the word around?
Okay.
Any status on any progress on communications with it?
We've had no update. I attempted when, on a trip to St. John's to meet with the transportation and infrastructure people, but I was unsuccessful in that, short trip that I made. But anyway, we'll talk to the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, and his people, and just see what the progress is. So I know it was brought up in a recent trip, Mayor and the Deputy CEO attended, and it was brought forward at that time. And also, the point was made by our MHA, Tony Wakeham, as well, in those overtures at that time. So we'll follow up with them a request for an update.
Yeah, I think the biggest one here, when we spoke with the minister last fall, was it? We were in St. John's. The biggest thing, and in our letter to the minister, so we should check on file, because we do have formal letters that's gone. So it's not just that it's unsightly, because it is really unsightly, but here's the big issue for the town of Stephenville, and really from a liability perspective to the minister and provincial government. We do have a lot of people that work around that old facility that's dilapidated. You have college students, international students, local students, college staff. You have people that work at corrections, people that, that directly work, and people going to and from. The big challenge is every time we have a windstorm, and by the way, we have a few because we're the windiest corridor in North America, that parts of that building sometimes fly out that building. So we have a major safety issue that technically, because of the neglect of government not tearing down that building, somebody could actually lose their life or be injured. So I think we really need to push government to say, come on now, get moving. Use some of that money coming from Hydro-Quebec and Churchill Falls, and let's get that torn down and remediated to a green space.
I think too that, we can all recognize how busy ministers and politicians are and so on, and I'm sure there's 100,000 requests going in daily. So I think from our end of it, it's really important that we kind of set timelines and constantly remind or ask about or email to ask about progress, to keep it kind of front and center on everybody's to-do list. Because sometimes, you can have discussion, well, not sometimes, many of the times we'll have discussions that have very positive underpinnings, but then people walk away and go back to their lives and forget that we had a conversation, I think sometimes. So, we can keep emailing people and sending reminders to them on a kind of regular basis might help.
So we'll get management to follow up on that. Let's keep that file hot. The other couple things I've got here is I got an update from Mr. Mike Ratter with our new signs that are being put up in Stephenville. A lot of good comments, but we had to take a couple down because there was a couple of grammar errors on them. One was Spring Mountain, one was Holland, I believe.
Holland.
Yes. So it's going to take us time. Any timeline when, any idea when you think the old part of, we call the old part of town, non-base, could be completed?
We still have to apply for the provincial side of the funding.
Yeah.
That would be the.
Yeah, so depending, and we do qualify, we all actually received money already from the provincial government to help with their purchase and of the new signs. So a couple of things too, since we started taking them down and new signs going up, a lot of people are interested in getting the signs. So we talked to staff.
Goal signs.
Goal signs, yeah, not the new ones. You don't have the new ones. So.
Who I can bring up.
Oh, yes.
On new business, actually, the clerk being off today as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so what I wanted to mention too is that possibly during Winter Carnival, or maybe not, but as they all come down, just the old part of town, and that could be the spring sometime, that we would host either a live auction or an online auction, and we'd have a minimum bid for people who would want to purchase one of the signs for if they lived on that street or they still live on the street or their surname is the street and stuff like that. And it could be a fundraiser for the town that we could, look at some of our charity groups, Sick Children, the Food Bank, Guardian Angels or whatever. And that's not the decision of council. So as we proceed with that file and they all come down, we'll probably organize something, a fun event, get a live auction, and let's see how much money we can get for it. Because, for example, there's White's Avenue.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of whites in Stephenville might want that sign. We might get about $5,000 for that.
There's a lot of what's away.
Not from me.
People live Someone might wanna make-
You're a
Not all the signs would be available,
Big one.
because I mean, some of them have been damaged and broken and missing metal over the years, but certainly the ones that we have,
Yeah.
man, great idea.
That
We
would be
can
fun.
I have a bid for O'Brien's Drives.
$1,000, $1,000.
Exactly.
$1,000 price for a lot of preferences at the height.
A
It's
lot of
cool.
complaints.
Yep.
That's all it is. Yeah, so anyway, so we have a final item that I'd like to speak on, and it's a very privileged item, I guess, to speak in the sense that, we have to put a motion on the table to adopt, and the appointment of our new fire chief, Mr. Don Gibbon, who's in our attendance here today. So, be it resolved that the town of Stephenville hereby appoint Donald Gibbon as Stephenville's new fire chief for the town of Stephenville. I would ask a member of council to move. Moved by Councilor Tom O'Brien, second by, I see him there for, Councilor Darren Roberts, all in favor? Yeah, so I wanna. So we're gonna have the chief given a couple of words, but before we say that, I just wanna say that we are so privileged in the town of Stephenville to have a full-time complement fire department. Very privileged also to have one of our senior captains that spend their life with their family, protecting our town, willing to put their lives on the line to save somebody else's life. They are our heroes, have stepped up to be our fire chief. So, and one of the things I was thinking, and I spoke to Mayor Lee a while back, and you'll appreciate this one, former Mayor Tom O'Brien, that I'd like to get, Mayor Steve Stein and Mayor Tom O'Brien's picture put on the wall with the other mayors up to that, you know, who've been the mayor. And the other thing, Don, if we could do a little bit of research, and I'm sure you know it off the top of your head, but from 1966, when the US Air Force Base closed Harmon, and that the town of Stephenville started the full-time fire department in that year. And it would be nice if we had pictures of, and a little plaque of every one of the fire chiefs leading up to your long tenure, we hope. Just saying. Just saying.
I got the gray hair.
So maybe that's something, Mayor, we could look at, working on over in 2025. So on that note, Don, I'd like for you to just say a couple of words, maybe, to the general public that's listening.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody, I mean, for, you know, supporting me over the years, 35 years at the fire hall. You know, the 12 years being as a captain, and I got a great team behind me and everything else. And, you know, I, you know, really like, I mean, the support, I mean, that they gave me. I know, I mean, council, I mean, over the years, right? You know, I've been from the union level now, I mean, into a management level. So, I mean, hey, it's going to be a challenge with the new and up and coming things that's going to happen for the town of Stephenville. And I look forward, I mean, to trying my best to serve everybody. And like I said, you know, our door is always open. If you have any questions in regards to safety, any fire related items or whatever else, you know, we're always there to be to help, right? Whether it's myself or the captains, I mean, you know, or any of the firefighters that are there, right? You know, our staff, I mean, that we have there, right? The majority of them, I mean, they have 30+ years experience. You know, we do have, I mean, probably half of our staff, I mean, that's got roughly about 15 years, right? You know, some got a little bit less, but you know what? They're going to be great firefighters too, right? In that care. And I'm hoping, I mean, that when I'm ready to retire, that's going to be somebody, I mean, that's going to be inside, that's going to be able to step up to the plate.
Thank you.
Anyways, keep us safe, and by the way, this council in this town is behind the town of Stephenville's fire department. Better than the rest. Okay, do we have anything else?
Yes.
Okay, councilors.
Mr. Mayor, just an update on our meeting with the senior officials, Western Health, that we had last week. and members of our West Coast Healthcare Action Committee. We spent a lot of discussion, as you know, on the reinstatement of obstetrical services. We did have an obstetrical gynecologist online from out of Western Health, the first time ever, actually. We talked a lot, we spent a lot of time, and we explained to them that there was 4 in Western Health right now, in Western Memorial obstetricians. And Dr. McKenzie brought out that's the minimum, that's, you know, if, in other words, if somebody's off on leave, it could be any kind, it could be vacation, it could be sick leave, it could be maternity leave, they're down to 3. So I was putting forth the case for the obstetrical gynecologist from here that wants to work here in Stephenville. And back and, well, if she got to work in Corner Brook, well, that would be a good thing as well, go back and forth, you know, because we know the 4 that we have, their basic priority is delivering babies, which is what they do. But I always bring out the fact that the senior people, senior women like me, you can't get to see them for about 2 years if you have a problem. So if they don't consider that problem as urgent, it might not be urgent right now, but in 2 years' time, it could be very urgent or worse. And she explained how they do it in priority, you know, that way. But so I really pressed forth the case of bringing this doctor is going to be qualified in 2026, and she's coming here to visit her grandmother in August, and she's coming to a wedding. Her mother-in-law is getting married, so it would be a good time to meet
Council.
yes, council and some of the senior officials. And if we let this person go, like we did years ago, to another doctor that wanted to come here, now she's a gynecologist, obstetrician, oncologist out in BC somewhere, we'll be really, I'd say, we're at fault for not pushing forward to get the reinstatement of obstetrical gynecology in Stephenville. And the other thing is the surgeon that we have here. Now, we were under the understanding he was being recruited permanently for Stephenville, but he's not. He's living in Corner Brook. He's joined a team, fee for service in Corner Brook, and he comes out here to do surgeries. Now, as you know, the surgeons only get so much OR time, 1 day a week for this and that, and 1 day for endos, 1 day for something else, 1 day for general surgery, that kind of thing. But I did say to Dr. McKenzie, I did say, we've always had 2 surgeons, two obstetricians, 2 internal medicines. We've always had those. 2 anesthesiologists, forever and ever, we've always had them. And if you're presented in the ER and you got an urgent problem that needs surgery right at that minute, you could be broken appendix, you're going septic or whatever. That doctor got to come out from Corner Brook to operate on you, or they got to send you in. So I don't think that, you know, to me, it's not exactly the service that I would want for our citizens. I don't know about anybody else, but I really think, and they say that they're trying to get another surgeon along with the one that's here. Well, that's fine. That's good if they can get another surgeon, but it looks like to me that we need to be pressing this as much as we can, you know, and I hope the citizens are listening, because it's time for some of the citizens to come out publicly and, you know, support us on these items, because we want to keep our hospital safe. We want to keep it alive. We want to make sure that our citizens are getting the right care that they should get.
So just on that item and others, I met with 2 of the ADMs in the Department of Health day before yesterday. Brought forward the concerns about obstetrics as well as other surgical services for Stephenville. And they were fully aware, of course, of the meeting that you had late last week with the Department, Western Region or Health Newfoundland or one thing that was noted in our overall discussion, because we were talking about surgical services, we also spoke about the long-term care engineering exercise, which I also had a brief discussion with Minister Scott Reed about that. So that is now in the hands of Transportation and Infrastructure. And there is a selection review for site going on, as I understand it. I expressed the concerns that the town of Stephenville had, that they have a process whereby we could have representations made related to site selection for long-term care. But we, did have a designated location that we thought was of high value for that, but also understanding the current long-term care facility in the area is in an adjacent community of Stephenville Crossing. So, and that is the point that was made. So they, in turn, were going to have us contacted by Transportation and Infrastructure's, I think her name's Linda Reed, is the person who's handling that for Transportation and Infrastructure. And on that basis, of course, to get to that point. One thing that was noted, and it's something that we have to look at because there are many recruitment efforts going on by other towns, similar to what Stephenville has done in the past, with finances to support the certain costs associated with recruiting and retention of medical professionals. What was noted by the two ADMs, Mr. McGrath, and I don't have the other name right here in front of me, but anyway, was that daycare is one of the key pieces that is a non-financial item. Of course, it has a cost to the community, but it also is an element which seems in all surveys they've done of medical professionals coming to the province or locating themselves somewhere, the ability to have adjacent or nearby daycare support for them was even more higher on the list than monetary offsets for the individuals. So it's something that I know Mike Bratter and our planning group have all been involved in as a key part of our plan to target daycare, but it's something we should move on as quickly as we possibly can, because the sooner we get a daycare facility, in a nearby area or even here in the town, adjacent to residential and what have you, the sooner that becomes a non-issue for medical professionals potentially locating here to our town. So it's one of our key priorities, I think, along with our wastewater treatment.
I guess just one thing also, thanks for that update, Ramsey, but one thing I just want to add to our meeting with Western Health is we have a lot of potential new industries, but we also have industries that exist here, Atlantic Minerals or CMEX, we have Maui, and we have potential of Atlas Sol, World Energy projects coming here. So industry has a higher demand for acute care, especially for that 60-minute rule when there could be trauma. So those projects would help our town push for additional specialists, such as surgeons, anesthetists, internists, to complement to where we used to be. Should be much easier once final investment decisions and these projects start happening. But we did some homework, Mike Bratter done some research. We know that there was only one obstetrics in Gander. Grand Falls was pushing for it. They did get it. But when we looked at the numbers of birth rates in our region in Western Newfoundland compared to Central, our birth rates were above a little bit their numbers. And Stephenville is less grayer. Now, you wouldn't say that if I look around the table as some of us fellows now. But anyways, Cornwall's got a higher age median than Stephenville. Young people have babies, not the real old people. That's just how it works. I'm 64. I don't think I'm ready to have any more babies. You know, I'm just saying. But the thing is, once these projects happen, we're gonna have a lot of young families, young workers moving here. So it is a great news, as you said, that for the first time in the meeting, we had somebody with OBGYN on board, specialists. We're pushing because these budgets and line items and planning, it doesn't happen overnight. So for us to tool up, recruit, get the necessary support services in place, it's gonna take a little bit of time, but we gotta start now. So we had a good meeting, and thanks for your background and keeping it going. But as a council and as a community and as a region, because remember, when we talk about our hospital, it's for right down to Island Morton, Burke Islands, to Burgeo, to Cape St. George. And Cornbrook South has a bigger population than Cornbrook North. So numerics, equal time points, services, but we're a town that's about ready to significantly grow. That'll actually help us go to the ministers and the ADMs and the deputy ministers and the CEOs, give enhanced services. So let's keep pushing. So on that note, if there's nothing else, I'll ask a member of the great council of the town of Stevensville for an adjournment. Councilor Tom O'Brien, second, Councilor Myra White, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Meeting adjourned. It is 12:58.